Earl, could you do me a huge favor? In the refrigerator, give me a bottle of water. I love you more than I do. Okay? Thanks, Earl. Oh, it's not mine. I don't need yours. It might be left over from Teresa.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna take me 10 minutes.
Okay, you want to lead us in the pledge? All right. Call the meeting to order. Ask everybody to stand for the pledge. And Brittany is going to lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Dan Booker Jr. Here. Eric Whittington. Here. Sue Mayberry.
Here.
Daniel Bush.
Here.
Scott Schwab.
Here.
Bonnie Downs.
Here.
All right, and then we have the Department of Commerce for the barrel room. And so if you look on second page of our agenda, someone here from the barrel room.
What's going on here is we're having a transfer of permit. VLI's, of course, is closed, and the permit would transfer to the Sully's Barrel Room. It's at the same location. They're looking to serve wine primarily, I think, but they're also looking at beer, craft beer. I'm not sure what else, but it's, they actually came to the tourism committee meeting to get feedback from folks in the city, so it looks very promising. But generally, we get these from the Division of Liquor Control, whether or not we would want to request a hearing about the issue. We usually don't for these because there's not been a problem there that we're aware of, it's just customary. So I guess I'd entertain a voice motion to not request a hearing for this particular transfer of liquor license, and then we'll respond accordingly to the Division of Liquor Control.
I make a motion that we do not request a hearing for this transfer of the liquor license from VLI's Thai Cuisine to Sully's Barrel Room on Canal LLC.
Who seconded it? Eric. Okay. We have a motion by Sue Mayberry, seconded by Eric Whittington. Any discussion? Roll call.
Scott Schwab.
Yes.
Danny Loesch.
Yes.
Sue Mayberry.
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.
Yes.
Eric Whittington.
Yes.
Bonnie Downs.
Yes.
Okay, reporting standing committees.
Public Service met tonight at 6 p.m. To discuss our utility billing processes. We heard a PowerPoint presentation from Unilink, who talked to us about updating our software, as well as a presentation from Core and Maine to talk about remote meters and upgrading our meters. No decisions were made tonight. That's all.
Okay. All right, citizens' comments for agenda matters. Seeing none, we'll move on to correcting and adopting the record of proceedings for the Public Service Committee meeting from February 19th.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 19th, 2019.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sue Mayberry, seconded by Dan Booker Jr. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have one on the first page. Mayor Schultz asked about prescription bottles. Should it be just plastic bottles?
I had a prescription bottle.
Is that what you had?
Yeah, it was a big white plastic
I
bottle.
didn't know it was a prescription bottle.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
just
it was a
the-
powder. And
Okay.
so,
That's why I was asking, because
Yeah.
I thought they were just, we talked about numbers 1 and 2.
yeah, and that's what he told us to do, is look on the bottom of it.
Okay.
So I looked on the bottom of it, and it was a number 2, so it can be recycled. Okay? Excellent, thank you. All right, and then I just want to point out that, you know, per the rules and regulations, we're supposed to have minutes approved for each of these public service meetings or any committee meeting. And kudos to Alyssa for doing these for us, and it really helps us to stay organized so that now we know we have minutes to go back to at our next meeting. So we actually probably should have approved those in our other public service meeting. But anyways, thank you, Alyssa. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Scott Schwab.
Yes.
Danny Bush.
Yes.
Sue Mayberry.
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.
Yes.
Eric Whittington.
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes for February 19th, 2019.
Second.
We have a motion by Sue Mayberry, seconded by Scott Schwab. Any discussion?
No, they were very, very well done.
She missed a C in my name one time, but that's okay. That's happened to me about 1,000 times in my life, so we can live with that. All right, roll call.
Scott Schwab.
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson.
Yes.
Danny Bush.
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.
Yes.
Eric Whittington. Sue Mayberry.
Yes.
Could I say one thing?
Sure.
I did forget this.
Yep.
'Cause I know we already voted. Stenson was misspelled. It's an I. That's all.
And that reminds me, thanks, Bonnie, the Parsons, when we listed who was here,
Yes.
I thought their name was Parsons, S-O-N-S, but we can double check that also.
The spelling, the way they spelled on the section sheet was a little weird.
Okay, all right.
You couldn't read it or?
Well, whatever, if I'm wrong, I need to change it in my phone, so, I appreciate that. All right, and then moving on to report of administrative officers. Senior citizens, did want to let you know, I reached out to Grant Joyce, not till today, to go take a look at that door on the back of the senior center. Community service, Mr. Murphy, John Murphy, continues to do an outstanding job for us. He is going to start interviewing, taking applications for the summer work program if our finance director tells us we have enough money for that, so we'll have to see. Fire chief.
I have no report, Mayor, but wanted to pass on that myself and Chief Durkee reviewed the minutes and the video from the February 5th council meeting, and there was a lot of questions. He was ill and I wasn't able to attend, but any questions that we can answer now, I'd be more than willing to, or we can submit them in written form.
Okay.
Just to clear any confusion up or.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you think of anything specific that any of us said that you would like us to
I believe you
reiterate?
asked the question of when we have drivers under 21.
Right,
Do we have sufficient apparatus, canal floating apparatus to respond to a call? That's yes. Both
okay,
of our engines and both of our ambulances will be housed at our station. So
Okay.
if there are firefighters there that are under 21 and aren't able to operate the township
Right.
equipment, there will be canal floating equipment there that they
Okay.
can respond on.
okay. Couldn't remember what questions we had, so,
And the thought of one chief under two masters, my suggestion would be, and Chief Durkee agreed, is maybe reach out to the Ohio Fire Chiefs Association. They do consulting, they do strategic planning. Maybe somewhere out there there's somebody that does that under some form of, you know, an informal fire district panel, or, you know, like it could be the mayor and whoever the trustee is, the fire liaison. So that's not out of the question. It's just, it has to be in the right situation, I guess what I'm saying. But that would be an organization I would look to,
Okay.
to ask questions of that. They might
Mhm.
have had experience in consulting
mhm.
with other communities that have tried this. And that's about the only thing I can, really, only two I can think of, so
Thank you, Chief Green.
you're welcome.
All right, moving on to police chief. Mr. Schwartz, you want to introduce Brittany to us?
Thank you, Mayor. I do. And I'm pleased to introduce Brittany Bissler as our newest member of the Canal Fulton Police Department in our auxiliary rank. I have no doubt that Brittany will bring what we come to expect from our new hires, an honest and ethical approach to law enforcement. Matter of fact, when I ponder honest and ethical police officers, Brittany's father comes to mind, who is present here tonight, Major Ty Bissler, who is a veteran of the Jackson Township Police Department. If half of his traits are passed down to his daughter, I am confident that we will have an outstanding recruit amongst our ranks. So Brittany, this is your day to shine, as your father has already eloquently done in the Stark County community. Take pride in your work and do not tarnish what you have or will accomplish by losing sight of who you are when you don the uniform in these patches. I personally thank you for the courage you'll display after taking a solemn oath in front of Mayor Schultz that binds you to our community, in the extraordinary services you'll provide and the sacrifices you will make on behalf of our little town. So having said that, if you want to approach the mayor,
All right.
and raise your right hand.
All right, Brittany, congratulations. Go ahead.
I, Brittany Bissler, do solemnly and sincerely promise that I will conform to and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Ohio, and will support the charter, the rules, and regulations of the police department and all ordinances and resolutions of the city of Canal Fulton, Ohio. I will be loyal and with strict adherence obey the duties of my office set forth by law and the will of the citizens of the city of Canal Fulton, Ohio.
Wow, fantastic, congratulations. You can sign these, 2 copies, and you keep one and give me one back. Which one of you two write with the wrong hand?
No, she's all right.
Neither?
No, I think she's got.
That's good.
Uh-huh. My wife's wrong-handed.
No, no, no.
All right, fantastic. And you folks are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you can retire. So, thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Seen your boss, good to see you, sir, man. You
You
took
were
care
on
out
board
there.
with this, Bob?
Congratulations, man. Very nice job.
Yes, we will.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, we always chase them out before we do that. Thank you. You almost saved me, buddy.
So that was the end.
Did?
Yeah.
All right,
I said it, just not loud enough, I guess.
okay.
Well, go ahead, Bonnie, you can make it.
You gentlemen and ladies have a great evening.
Thank you. We're gonna vote on it now, but it's pretty safe.
Make a motion to accept the addition of Brittany Bissler to the police department.
Okay, we have a motion by Sue Mayberry, seconded by Scott Schwab. Any discussion? Roll call?
Danny Loesch.
Yes.
Jeff Bucker Jr.
Yes.
Scott Schwab.
Yes.
Sue Mayberry.
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson.
Yes.
Eric Livingston.
All right, with that said, congratulations to Brittany, and moving on to our city engineer, Keith Dulesky. What do you have for us?
Thanks, Mayor. One thing I wanted to bring up tonight was regarding resolution 3-19 for the water tower project, CTI, the Port Council. I know we've been discussing this for some time, and I think even before that, this has, been in the works. We're getting down to, I think we mentioned before, OPWC applications are due in September. It's going to be about a 4 to 5 month process to get the plans complete. So I wanted to bring to council if there was any opposition, if they pass this on first reading. Appreciate it to get moving on this project. So.
All right. Clean that up when we get to the reading. All right. Anything else?
You just want to suspend the rules, correct? Just suspend the rules.
Right, right. Have you done any more research on our funds?
Yeah, if we for the higher match, no. Obviously, the plan will get an extra 10 points.
Well, we get your 10 points, but you still get the grant for the higher match. Still with well, we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, what they're discussing,
Yeah.
I just found out this week, and I kind of hear things, and I need to hear them several times before I figure it out. But there's an opportunity to get an even bigger match than the 50%. And obviously, like Keith said, by having this plan in place, that gives us 10 points. But explain it if I'm doing it wrong, Keith, but you can ask for a higher match, but that,
You get less points.
it gets less points. So what we want to do, hopefully, is kind of analyze the data in as much as possible, know what the competition looks like, and hopefully Mr. Cozy can find out through the county what other projects look like, and we might be able to do better than 50%. So that's one of the reasons we'd like to get working on it. So we'll bring that up. Any other questions for Mr. Dulesky? We are looking, are you still confident we can go out with the park plans here in March to go out to bid with those?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the date we talked about before was the 20th,
Okay,
so.
so we want to go out to bid. Now, we go out to bid, we advertise it, and after we advertise it, then we have a bid meeting,
Bid opening.
bid opening. And when do they ask questions, if they have questions? Is that normally something, maybe I'm confused?
They would pose questions anytime within 72 hours of bid opening,
Okay,
so
Okay.
after that, then.
and
we
just
would- we
goes,
wouldn't ask them.
they submit their bid, we open them up and get rolling.
Correct.
Okay, super. All right, thank you, sir. Street department. I know there's something I was supposed to say, but maybe I'll remember it later. I apologize. Don't laugh at me, Shelley.
You weren't supposed to hear that, man.
Public utilities, we had our meeting today and talked about that some more. Or do we want to talk about that now? Is that something that,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I guess I would like to know what this council want as far as next steps on the process, or.
For utility billing and the readers and that?
Yeah, in order to either move it forward or.
I have no problem moving forward with it, if the rest of council
Okay.
is, I don't, that's,
Yeah.
I
So,
think it's great.
okay.
Yeah.
You saw enough downstairs, huh?
I felt so
The
sorry for
floppy
her.
disk,
Yes.
that was the kicker, wasn't it? Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
she took me by surprise, I won't admit.
Yeah.
I did read this, and, you know, it sounds like some good stuff, and I think the last question we had when this was presented to us a few years ago was the actual life of the units themselves. Was that asked at today's meeting?
No.
The expected life
do
expectancy
you,
for these
maybe
units?
you know?
I believe they thought that the meters would last about 20 years.
Okay, and that was pretty much about what the last,
And I think they have, it's a prorated warranty bill, is what they told us, I think. So, I can't remember whether it was prorated at 10 or 15 years, but there is some good life expectancy out of them, so. All right. So, anybody want to make that motion?
I don't believe Danny heard the fact that we have some savings from some other projects to apply to the, you might not have been here to hear
yeah, I
that.
didn't see anything in the email.
Could you explain that to him like you,
Right, so we budgeted 225,000 to replace 2 water lines in the city. That was part of the original budget. The estimates have come in at essentially 90,000 to do both. So at this point, we do have some savings there that we want to do 2 things. We want to fund this year's GIS installment, you know, at about 25, 30 grand. And then we want to fund this year's installment to do essentially 2 books worth or 2 allotments worth of the meters. So it'd be 85,000 to do the meters at that. And so with that savings and the water line project, we wouldn't really have to come back this year to do any budget amendments or anything. Now, next year, we'll have to build in some money, you know, to do the next phase of the water meters and stuff, but we can build that into the budget and plan around it at that point, so.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay. Entertain a motion for option, what,
Make-
is that option 1 or
make a
option 2?
motion that we, approve the recommendation of, going with option 1 presented by Core and Main,
Core and Main.
for the, meters. And what else is, that goes along with the,
Software?
Yeah,
A software.
and the software.
program,
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Sue Mayberry, seconded by Bonnie Fennerfrock. Bonnie Fennerfrock.
No.
Bonnie Donaldson.
I know her, but no.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.
My sister's sister-in-law,
I
but
know.
no.
All right, I apologize, Bonnie. All right, so we have a motion and a second, any discussion? Roll call?
Scott Schwab,
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson,
Yes.
Danny Love,
Yes.
Sue Mayberry.
Yes.
Dan Bucker Jr.
Yes.
Eric Hudson.
Yes.
If you're watching, Bonnie, I must be thinking about you. So, all right, planning and zoning. And under planning and zoning, Mr. Workman was gracious enough to come tonight, and I sent out some emails regarding the bridge naming, renaming issue, and like I sent out in an email to council. I was hoping to meet with the Albrechts to see if they had anything different. We've reached out to the county commissioners, and Sue, thank you for sending that ORC.
Does it do anything different? Does it make it any
I don't
more
know.
obvious?
It seems like if, you know, if that was, if that renaming, the most recent one came in the form of a bill, a House bill or Senate bill, bipartisan bill, that might trump the legislation. I don't know, we have to find out.
Yeah.
My guess it's a matter of where city council sits with this whole thing. I don't know where people stand with it. Are we want, because the past council decided they wanted to keep the name of the bridge at Cherry Street Bridge, then approved the placement of the plaque. I mean, that was part of the
They
package.
didn't want to rename, they just wanted to have memorialize the bridge.
Right,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
right, the plaque was approved.
And I'm prepared to let that stand with that prior
we have
council.
another
There was a
renaming.
reason they did what they did. I don't know the rationale.
According to Ohio Revised Code, section that the city gave us, it looks like that they need to get our input. That the state of Ohio is supposed to come to us and let us know what's going on and get our input and our approval, and that never happened.
But unless they supersede that.
We don't know.
Right.
But I don't know if council, I guess I need to know where council stands on this bridge issue before we act. I mean, if, you know, like my email said, if you're okay with the bridge being named after the soldier, then do nothing and it'll happen. If it's your intention that you want to keep the bridge named the Cherry Street Bridge and then work out another option for the soldier, then, you know, I know a simple voice motion from you right now, and then the mayor and I can make the inquiry to the director of ODOT and, you know, see how the process went, see what, you know, what other things could be done. I mean, there could be other things that could be done. I don't know, but I don't know where council is with this.
I don't want to give a voice motion until I know what all is
Okay.
involved in this. We just got this on Sunday.
Yeah, and like I said, I met with the senator and the state representative Romer, and, you know, like Senator Rubner said, she voted on this when it was presented in the state legislature, and it was passed, and the governor signed it, so in her mind, it's law, you know.
What is law?
The naming of the bridge after Michael Stangelo, Lance Corporal Michael Stangelo.
What about the lady that said it's already named after her father?
That's the Albrecht family.
Yeah.
Who, and that's all this information that you have, you know, and that's what we reached out to the county commissioners to find out if they did anything, you know, to actually take a vote. And you can tell by the correspondence, it went back and forth, and then you can tell by the motion that was passed by council back in 1998 to, you know, I think their intent was clear, whereas the Cherry Street Bridge, now replaced with a beautiful new structure, has been known as the Cherry Street Bridge to lifelong residents of Canal Fulton, and it goes on from there. But they say, whereas the village of Canal Fulton feels it's appropriate to place a plaque in memory of the engineer, Mr. Albrecht. And they, you know.
But see, they already had the plaque made, naming the bridge, the Albrecht Bridge.
Yeah, right, but.
Someone had it made and paid for it out of their own pocket.
Right,
but it wasn't in memory of, it's named the All Brick Bridge.
That's what the plaque
'Cause
says, but that's not what this resolution says.
Exactly, I
Yeah.
know that,
Uh-huh.
I know that.
So there was no, I made 2 inquiries in the county commissioner's office, and they had not found any documentation that the bridge was renamed the Wayne Albright Memorial Bridge. It was, as far as we know, the bridge was never named after this gentleman. Basically, all that we have is the city's desire to keep it the Cherry Street Bridge and the approval of the plaque. That's the only official document that we have right now.
Well, I'm curious, were we asked or told about before they couldn't do anything with the
All we
bridge?
found out, Bonnie, the way we found out was ODOT contacted our street department and said, we have legislation that was passed to dedicate this bridge, and where do you want to put the sign? And so
Well,
that's,
let me look into it. I would like to review, okay,
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to look at all the documents, but I'm more inclined to agree with Ms. Mabry's position on it, is they cannot ram it down our throats, all right? They have to have, Ohio Revised Code states that we have to have an agreement approved by the municipal corporation, which is us. And specifically, if the bridge lies within the territory boundaries of the municipal corporation, which it does, they have to have our approval. So I always want to go over this, check it out, and make sure I'm correct on it. But just because, all right, a legislator says the governor signed it, that means they're agreeing on their side, but maybe we're not agreeing on our side.
right. And that's what I read in the ORC, was that we have to have a resolution, and that's what we need to do. So, more discussion to come.
Yeah.
We'll continue to investigate, and like I said, I hope we can come to a peaceful, amicable decision. So, all right. With that being said, we'll move on to the finance director.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually don't have anything else to report, just wanted to thank you for agreeing to move forward with the software and the meter project. It will ease our mind not to have to find a computer that reads floppy disks.
Like I said, I'm excited for our citizens, so thank you, council. All right, city manager?
Yes, I have a couple things. Number one, we have 2 civil service tests scheduled. One for entry-level police officer, and that will be May 8th at 10 a.m. at the Safety Center, and hopefully Brittany will be taking the test too. And then we have a sergeant's test, if needed, scheduled for May 8th. Same place, same time. Also, we have our second public meeting for the Canal Fulton Stark Parks Active Transportation Public Meeting. This will be at the Canal Grill, March 27th, 6:30, 8:30 p.m. I think it's going to be similar to what we had before, but there's going to be more details presented, because they're going to present the findings from the last public meeting we had, and then hopefully this second public meeting we'll be able to finalize a nice plan for the community, for the sidewalks, bike lanes, connection of trails to Stark Parks. So it's a lot of good stuff for us.
That'll be the same format where we'll have some appetizers, and then people can
good.
order dinner
Food? Okay.
if they want. The dinner's on their own dime.
Okay, okay.
Is this like the one meeting we had at the senior center?
Part 2 to that.
Is that what it is?
Well, that meeting we had at the Canal Grill too, didn't it?
Yeah, that was the first meeting we had at the senior center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then from there, we agreed to have another meeting for public input, because I think that was, first one was for stakeholders,
Yeah.
is what we called that. And so then we had a stakeholder meeting there, and then we had the public input at the Canal Grill.
Right.
And then we reviewed their plan the other day, Mark and I went to a meeting, and they're ready to come back with some suggestions. All
And,
right.
okay, yeah, and lastly, Environmental Design Group is coming to the next park board meeting, next week to basically plan the first public meeting for the park master plan. So, I'll be sending an email out to everybody on that.
Did she say something about tomorrow in an email? Because that really threw me off. I was thinking they were coming to a park board meeting
Next week.
Next week, I think the email said tomorrow, so.
Wednesday is 13th.
Yeah,
Did they say tomorrow? I'll have to look at that.
yeah, if you could double
She's
check
gonna
that.
send a, well, no, she's gonna send the invite tomorrow.
Oh, okay, gotcha, okay. I told you I don't read well.
That's all right.
All right.
Yeah.
What else do you have for us?
Everything else was covered. We covered everything else. So,
All righty.
I just have a question, Mark,
Yeah.
about the codification, and maybe, Alyssa is aware, have we got the prior ordinances that were passed since December the 19th of 2017? Are we gonna be sending them into the codification place so that our books are current and everything is current, that, you know, we get our updated sheets and that?
we
'Cause
discussed that last week.
there's some really
Yeah.
old stuff that I was just curious about that. What is our city's liability insurance company right now?
DeStefano?
Well, he's our broker,
Oh, well,
well, through the Ohio Municipal.
Elmville, okay. Did we budget any money, regarding the chip and seal of, doing the, St. Helena Park for this year by any chance? Or do we
Off the
budget?
top of my head, I
it's been
can't
in
remember.
past budgets, and then we've had to postpone it.
Cause
because-
I mean, it really looks bad.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, cause it's been really looking bad. And I
It
know that
does.
with the flooding, it happens, but I was just curious, because I wanted to, ask you, Mayor, you never really reported on, the, completion of, getting donations for the
Oh.
cemetery roads, and I drove by the other day and I saw this black drive, I'm like,
Yeah,
boy, does that look nice?
yeah, it did, they did a great job
And
for
it's,
us.
when was it finished?
I think it was, October, we were,
You
trying to get,
completed getting donations and?
oh yeah,
Cause
$25,000.
it looks very, how much?
$25,000 we raised to,
It looks really nice.
it does,
And
it was much needed, and, we'll be, I think, according to Mark Peterson, I think we try to, look at, doing a chip and seal on it maybe next year or two.
But no, it just like, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Thank you, but I apologize for not getting
no,
back.
that's okay, I just thought
Yeah.
you were the one that spearheaded that, and it
Yeah.
happened, you know?
Yep, a lot of people gave generously, so, thank you. All right, moving on to, my report. Let's see, my wife always criticizes me for not being organized, so, just want to report back to council. I went to, the Community Day up at Northwest High School, and that means so much to me. I complimented Dr. Mike on all their hard work and putting it together. It's a great environment for our community to come together and stay in relationship. So, so I fielded a couple questions, like so many people. You get into a conversation about income tax reform, and then you find out they live on Fair Park or Towpath or something like that. So I've learned to ask the first question, where do you live, first. Getting the word out. And so then yesterday, I went to lunch at Chapel Hill, and I got myself into an agreement with them. We call them Mayor Mondays. And so we're gonna do, I'm gonna meet with them the first Monday of each month throughout the course of the year. When I found out how good the food was, and I didn't get a bill for it, so I might be back first Monday of every week, but anyways. The issue the thing that we need to get out in the public is the understanding about the income tax reform is that issue 14, the language that people are going to see is just going to be about an income tax increase. And we put a letter on the back of the water bill that most of our residents will get. That's 2,100 properties, and obviously that's not everybody in the city. But to point out that the council already passed resolution or ordinance 5118, and we passed that back in January, to grant the 100% credit for taxes paid to another municipality. So it's very important to get the message out to our voters to understand when they walk into that voting place that the issue 14 they're going to see is just to increase the income tax from 1.5 to 2.0%. But the 100% credit has already been passed by council.
But it's not gonna be in the ballot language.
It's not gonna, Ohio law doesn't permit us to do that. So that's the word that we need to get out to people. And what I would like to do is survey council right now, because one of the questions I had, and I appreciate the question, but if you knew what we're trying to do, I don't think we'd ever do this. But the question is, well, council, the voters could pass this, and then council could just turn around and change and take away the 100% credit.
I know.
Yeah.
This credit or this council or any council
Yeah.
in the future.
Right.
Not
So
just us.
right, and I want to like survey each council member, and obviously Bonnie, you would never agree to something like that.
Of course not.
Okay. Eric. Okay. Dan.
Not unless it was absolutely necessary.
And I think for future council, I think we would look at layoffs before I would ever go there, because the problem we're trying to fix with this, you don't want to create another problem down the road. This fixes a problem that exists, and we're one of the few communities that I know of that, a city that doesn't grant 100% credit for taxes paid to other municipalities. So, Mr. Loesch?
Yep, no, I'd support it.
Okay. Scott?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't support it.
You're both saying the same thing, right? You would never want
Increase,
to.
right.
Right, never take away the
Take away
100%
the
credit.
increase.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Sue, you feel the
No,
same?
I wouldn't take away the increase.
No, she's not.
Take away the 100% credit.
I mean, the credit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm just, because that's a really important issue, because when people see that, and if someone's opposed to the tax increase, they may use that as an arguing
Well,
point.
that's the
Yeah.
big argument.
Right.
That is the argument.
Right.
Well, it has happened in the past, and there was a recall. Back in the 2000, 2001, there was actually a recall. And this occurred when the city of Canal Fulton historically had a 0.75% income tax. I think there was no credit. I can't, if I remember how it was. And they went to the 1%, which they can do, which council can do without a vote. And there was no credit. And so there's a recall, election, to recall
To go after the council.
people that vote, that voted that way, because I think there was a referendum on the ballot for 100% credit that went on the ballot and was passed. Okay, so the council turned around and went back 50% where we are now. There's a recall election and it failed. That's what happened.
Okay.
So there is recourse. If council votes for the 100% credit, and the future board steps up and says, well, no, we're gonna go ahead and
Go back to
make it
50%.
The citizens had the right to referendum that. And the citizens have a right to recall, elected officials, and it's happened in the past, so, there is recourse if a future council does go back on their word, which this council won't, and I know all of you won't go back on your word, so. But there is a way to recall people and change them.
All right. And one other note that we have is we're doing a mayor's business breakfast, and it's open to the public. So if you're a citizen and you want to come, the tickets are $10, March 22nd, 8 a.m. at the Elm Ridge Event Center. And you can purchase tickets here, and you need to purchase those by March 15th so we can give them an accurate number of meals to prepare. But if I'm not here, Alyssa will be able to sell you tickets. And, we're looking at raising businesses' taxes because their net profit tax will go up as well. And so, I'm trying to get out there and face the music. And if you're raising somebody's taxes, they should be able to come and ask you questions. I will tell you, I've been wearing a path out into Bill's office, asking questions, because when I get questions from people, we go back and we look at ourselves. So this has been so beneficial to look at ourselves and to have data to back up what we're trying to do. So we want to present that on March 22nd. So if any council members are going to be available, I'd love to have you there. And just want to get the word out on that. The other thing I have for council is, and I apologize, I should have emailed this out to you. Another one of my crazy ideas, but I watched too many Hallmark movies with my wife, and we saw one that was called the 12 Days of Christmas, where a city did 12 events leading up to Christmas. And so this past year we raised some funds for Bountiful Gifts as well as the Heritage Society. And we did that by doing a parade of homes, a Christmas parade of homes. And we raised about $1,400 there. But we already have the Christmas on the Canal. So that's another event. A local church already does meal packing for, like this year they packed meals for 50,000 people, which was kind of cool. And they've been doing that for a couple of years. Of course, Bountiful Gifts, their project to provide Christmas to needy families is so supported in our community. So there's a day of sorting the presents, a day of wrapping the presents, and a day of delivering the presents. So these are all events. Christmas caroling is something that the Rotary Club has done for years. So the reason I'm bringing this up to council is we ran into a little problem this year with collecting funds. And First Commonwealth Bank sponsored the Christmas Parade of Homes. And so they sent a check to the city of Canal Fulton, and you know, we don't really want to get involved with it as a city, but it's, we got it worked out. Because really what they were paying for was the appetizers at the Canal Grill. So, long story short, there's two big events on here. The Polar Express is an opportunity for us to offer it as the Canal Fulton Polar Express. And what we would be doing is reserving a certain number of seats on the Polar Express, which sometimes is hard to get a ticket. Now, Mr. Rouse has been on it, and he swore he'd never go back again. But it would be an opportunity for our residents.
They didn't go to the North Pole, did they?
Yeah.
I was dressed in my elf costume, and I was ready to see Santa. And
is there pictures? Are there pictures someplace?
Santa.
Are there pictures of that anywhere?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I'd love to see him in his elf outfit. All right. So, anyways, what this would involve, and I talked to Mr. Rouse in our staff meeting, I would have to get council's blessing to basically what we want to do is just merge our account into either the Christmas on the Canal event account, or create a new one called the 12 Days of Christmas and still do Christmas on the Canal. But what we need to be able to do is collect funds and then pay bills out of that account. And then as businesses sponsor these events, now they can make their check out to the city of Canal Fulton and they become the sponsor of that event. What we'd like to do at the end of it, though, is turn around and make donations back to different local organizations, whatever it may be, the Heritage Society, like our Canal Days Committee donated money back to purchase the horse. So with that said, the biggest issue we would have is reserving the Polar Express, where Aaron Bigelow has done a lot of research for us and found out that in August, communities like ourselves or companies can reserve dates, and what that requires though is to pay half the money at that time, and then you pay the other half of your tickets 10 days before the event. So the idea we have is that if we can get council's support to move forward like this, what we would be doing is basically using time in the summertime to see what kind of response we get from people who want to purchase tickets and then we would know what kind of money, so there's very, very little risk to the city.
I still don't know what Polar Express is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't either.
I
Bill
don't
can-
know.
Bill can describe
What
it.
is the Polar-
It's a
I
train,
mean-
train ride
A train
on the
ride.
Cuyahoga
Where do you get
Valley,
on it? Oh.
Cuyahoga Valley Railroad.
Right, they take the railroad train up
You
there.
wear pajamas or something?
The kids do.
That's, I've heard of it.
It's you get on this
I just
train
drank.
and it's dressed, it's
I just drank.
decorated as the Polar Express, okay?
Okay.
Like the book, you know? And so the train is geared up as the Polar Express, and you get your kids on there, they're wearing jammies, and you have all the hot cocoa and all this, and then you get on in like Boston Heights or whatever, and then you go on an hour, it's an hour-long train ride out somewhere, and they tell the kids it's going to the North Pole. Santa comes and visits with them, and then you do another hour back, and the kids love it, you know. And my personal views were we're supposed to stay personal.
Sorry, Mr. Rouse.
Oh
I don't want to.
As an adult at that time, it wasn't quite what
Now, Bonnie, you went on it?
to do.
No, not that, I've been on the ride, train ride.
Okay.
But not for the Polar Express.
Anybody else done it?
I did.
Doug, you did it?
Yeah.
With your kids?
2-3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And was it hard to get tickets reserved or anything like
Yeah,
that?
we got them through her work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they sell out really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
That you have to get them in the summer or spring.
And when is the Polar Express ride? Is it the 12/2/19?
12/2, and what coincides about that date, Sue, actually, we're gonna back it up a day, because I talked to Dr. Mike. The schools are off on that Monday, so there's only one matinee, like an afternoon trip in the whole month of December. And Erin, kudos to her to finding all this out. But what we were thinking is moving it to December 1st, because the kids are off school on December 2nd. Thanksgiving's very late this year, so the schools are off Wednesday, Thursday for Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they're off on Monday. So this would be an event on Sunday night, December 1st, and like Bill said, you know, a 2-hour trip that starts at 7 o'clock, you're not going to get back to Canal Fulton with the kids until 10 o'clock, which, if they don't have to get up for school the next day, would just be a perfect date for us to work off of. So I think it would be fun. The other event that was scheduled, or that we looked at outside of town, because all these other events happen inside the city. The other one is the roller skating over at North Canton Skate Center. And I got this idea from my grandson. I went to pick him up. They had like a North Canton day for any kid who sold pretzels. And so for $650, we reserve 3 hours of skate time. So all the kids or the families that come, all they have to do is pay for their skates. And they also have laser tag that they can do, and then a bunch of arcade games and things like that. But once again, that's something we'd look for a corporate sponsor for, to cover that cost of $650, and then we'd recognize them with you know, the sponsorship of that event, and you know, no cost to the city. So those are 2 events that go on outside the city. Everything else is just promoting local businesses and activities in the city of Canal Fulton for the month of December.
What does it cost for the Polar Express?
It is the prices from last year, which they haven't addressed this year. $57 was the basic car. Then they have cars that are upgraded, where they must serve something more than punch, and so there's an executive car in there, and there's like a super executive, like VIP car or something like that. You don't have to reserve those, you know, but I would reach out to some local businesses and see if they want to offer that as, you know, to their employees as a, you know, Christmas party, company party or something like that, so.
So what is it you wanted us to?
What I'm looking for council, and I'm not asking you to do it now, but just understand moving forward, is for myself and Mr. Rouse to, you know, lay out the financing of how it would operate so that the city could take money in.
Well, what's the proper way of doing it? Because we need to do it the right way.
Right.
I mean,
Yep. And
you guys tell us.
yep. Bill, are you ready to speak to that now, or?
I mean, I think the, part of the advantage for this, if the city were to take over this or do it as part of the Christmas on the Canal, is these businesses are making donations and sponsorships to do these things. They wanna be able to take it a tax deduction for it, and, you know, if, under the model we had last year, where the mayor did this as a separate thing, they couldn't do it because he'd have to go out and legally set up a separate nonprofit and all of that. And if they were to donate it through the city, you know, then we could give them that tax deduction basically as they could write off as a donation for a nonprofit purpose. And then the mayor can then turn around, would just need the approval of council to then turn around and use that money for these purposes. I mean, that's really what it's set up to do. And the only thing I told the mayor is whatever we spend on these, we would need to make sure that we have sponsorships to cover it, the revenue to cover it.
And how will we know, how will we?
The biggest one, the only one that's really costing money
Polar Express.
is Polar Express, and then the skating, you know, at the skate center.
So like we would have to put money up front in some way to
Yep,
the
yep.
Cauga Valley?
Yeah, so they would be looking for, in August, when we book that date, they would be looking for half the money. So if there's 80 passengers on a car and we want to do all 80 seats in that train car, then, you know, we take 80 times, figure on $60. That's $4,800. We have to give them $2,400 when we book the date, and then we have to give them $2,400 10 days before the event. But like I said, with your permission to move forward, what Alyssa, and I'll let Alyssa speak to it, tell us how we could collect the money basically before we even book the tickets.
Where's the money coming from? That's the question that Joe was asking there.
Yeah.
Where's it coming from?
Well, we'd have to appropriate some money, and that's the big question.
Well, I thought you were gonna get donations.
Yeah.
Well, you're
that's
gonna
what
get,
I heard.
you're gonna get donations, but you're not, you may have to pay for the tickets, or, you know, reserve the tickets before you get donations. Now, the Polar Express is really not a problem, because the idea is you're gonna sell those tickets and you're gonna recoup all your costs in the tickets. So if we reserve a car of 80 people, we sell 80 tickets and we've gotten all our money back, and there's no risk to the city. And, you know, my goal is,
And we can do that. We can do that.
I don't know, I think we would get the advice from the law director on how far we're gonna have to move with this.
Yeah, I was thinking if you had a sponsor to put down the 2,400, that was no risk to us.
Yeah.
That's what I thought the whole idea was, then you could offer the tickets.
that's a great idea. I'll be at Community Healthcare tomorrow, so.
Reduced price, you know.
Yeah, that's a
That way
good
kids
idea.
can save some money, you know,
Yeah.
that way, you know, kids aren't paying that full 60, maybe they get a ride at Polar Express for $40 or something, it's, you know, and then I'm looking at, instead of donating money back, maybe kids that can't afford it.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should look at, you know, there's kids out there that would love to ride a Polar Express and never will because their parents.
$60 is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot, yeah.
But
So
that's
I'm
just for the
thinking
whole
maybe
car,
we should
right?
That's
look at
$60 per ticket.
See if there's a way to.
80
See, I did
seats.
go,
Per
but
ticket.
it was all adults when on a car I
Okay,
was
yeah.
on.
Because
Supply and
We
demand.
didn't
Per
make
child?
it.
Supply and demand.
Per
Chief.
child, per
Chief
per
Schwartz,
adult?
didn't we do something like that for the,
We
that
need to do
Disney
that.
on Ice and that families that couldn't afford it? And I mean, if we can really, I think that we can make a big, you know, a big benefit to the community, especially kids that would never otherwise go to Polar Express.
How about adults that can't afford it?
We're all kids at heart, right? So, yeah.
All right, let me approach that angle. That's great. So I just want to introduce it, and I appreciate your discussion and input, and that'll give me some direction. So, all right, but Alyssa had a great idea. She can kind of sell the tickets here through City Hall. So, all righty.
Is that your report, or we haven't got to your report yet?
I'm done. Earl, help me out here.
Wait,
Oh, whoa, back up the train. Go ahead.
The tree boxes.
The tree boxes, what we're gonna
But my
do,
question is,
Yep.
about the tree boxes, how big are they again?
the one that was sitting out there,
See, I couldn't see, where's it at? I
it was
tried to
right,
find it.
it's gone
Oh,
now.
it's gone.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
he
no
took
wonder.
it to pattern all the other ones after, so he started making them, and,
What are the dimensions?
I
Can you-
think they're,
They were about 4 by 4 and then a bench
4
on
feet by
each.
4 feet by 4
no,
feet?
they were only like 32 inches, from the curb to the
I was
sidewalk.
gonna say, how much
Yep.
sidewalk's gonna be
Yeah, we.
eaten up by the
Yeah.
boxes? I
Yeah,
just,
the planter box, the tub, I think, is a 2-foot tub. So, and that's why I think we had like 4 inches on either side. So it's only 32 inches wide. So, and where we wanna put them is mostly where you see the gravel areas,
yeah.
where the trees used to
Yeah,
be.
Yeah,
And those are the areas that we're gonna cover up, so those are
but they'll
most,
be done
What-
symmetrically, won't they, within the streets? Not just like two here, then one here, you know, have some symmetry to it, right?
we,
Hopefully?
yeah, we have 18 boxes, and I talked to the street department about, where to put them. Some owners don't want them back in front of their property, some will, but you're right, we wanna divide them up aesthetically
And
appealing.
this is a little late in asking, but did this have to go to the HPC by any chance? For the historic?
Yeah, that's why
Because
we
it
went
should
with,
have, and I didn't
Yeah.
even dawn on me
Yeah.
until,
you
I
know,
don't think it did, cause.
yeah, and I think that, I don't know, I may have said something to them, but we didn't take a vote,
'Cause-
because I got I got the
Yeah.
input from,
Well-
the different type of material, because what's down there now, that plastic, those plastic planters, those.
I know.
Yeah. So the reason we went with the cedar was because it was natural.
Made out of wood.
Yeah.
I understand, I just thought of,
People don't know what they're missing here, I'm telling you. You should have to pay for this entertainment.
I just thought, did that even get sent
Yeah.
by them, and it should have.
Yeah, I'll back up the bus on that one, Sue, thank you. All right,
Don't drive it off a cliff, Jim.
yeah,
Okay, I don't have no more, Joe.
okay.
We ought to book this comedy event for money.
Yeah, 12 days of Christmas, we could bring.
I'll have a
Shoulder
list of
breast.
the trees for
Thank
us
you.
to choose from at our next meeting.
And
All
you
right.
have information about it too.
Yeah, they're gonna be zone 2 trees,
Uh-huh.
instead of zone 5, because they're gonna be not in the ground.
Yeah,
So
They have to be hard.
I asked for a list of clean zone 2 trees.
okay.
So we'll have several of them to choose from, and you guys can go through the list and,
Would we ever wanna get different trees or get them all the same?
well, then you can do different ones, but it's not gonna be symmetrical like Sue says. Like we
Okay.
had all ginkgos.
Yeah,
Do you wanna keep them all the same, or do you wanna do different ones?
yeah,
That's up to you
You're gonna have
guys.
to run them through the zoning department.
yeah.
That was another bad one.
I know.
All right,
Well, actually, the
They're
planning,
made of wood.
yeah,
the planning commission is the shade tree commission by,
Mm-hmm.
it's codified
At this
that way.
time.
That's right, so you wouldn't even have to go to HPC, would you?
Well, I don't know,
Nice
the
if they
the
had
boxes
flowers
might
on
have to
them.
be approved by HPC.
Maybe.
yeah.
Well, the problem is if we have flowers on them, that means that there would be fruit-bearing trees. And that was one of the problems that some of the business owners had, was the fruits were falling on people's cars.
You do not
and
want a fruit-bearing tree
staining.
because that tree that's in the corner over there by the insurance company, I've trimmed that up. The apple, it's an apple tree.
Yeah.
Whoever put an apple tree there, but the apples were everywhere.
Yeah, they're kind
I
of.
That's
mean,
the complaint we've
it's
gotten
not a
from
good-
business
no,
owners.
no,
Yeah.
no.
It's gotta be
fruit-bearing
gotta be a nice
trees.
clean tree. We can find something that's gonna be
I
somewhat
got my
flowery.
place flowers every year, it has pretty red flowers in the fall.
Well, some
It's
don't
just gonna
make
depend
fruit.
on what's a zone 2 tree, what
Yeah.
they have to
I
offer.
don't know what it is, but it's pretty.
All right,
Thank you, cactus.
moving on.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. Earl, go ahead, save us.
Well, I've been watching the progress of the live footers. They started putting footers in on Monday, and they were doing footers again today. And I'm sort of estimating probably about Friday or Saturday, they'll be done putting footers in. Because they're pouring concrete in there. I see concrete trucks in there 2 at a time, getting ready to pour. And of course, they're using those blankets to cover the concrete over so it cures correctly and doesn't crack up and everything. You go by, if you see rebar sticking up in the air, you know that's where the concrete's been poured and they're finished with that area for that part of it.
Okay.
So anyone takes a ride by, just look, please don't stop because there's too much traffic go through anyways. It's maybe slow, but try not to stop. That's all I have, thank you.
Thanks, Earl.
I got a question for you.
Yep.
Since they took down that Boy Scout building and that had that power outlet on it that a lot of people use for events, is there gonna be anything replaced, any kind of power outlets replaced
I think
in
when
that
we
general
put,
vicinity that?
I think when we put that back to order, integrate all that out, and extend the fence back out, that should be done with the same thing.
Yeah, because they have the post there.
Yeah.
There's no outlets on there currently?
Not that I'm blind, but.
Okay, we'll need to check that out.
See, but
Okay.
I know a lot of people that have the events down there. I'm biased, I use them.
No, that was part of the demo. We had the electrician come out and there is power out.
There's power in the pavilion.
Yeah.
But the power source that was actually connected to that building, that was one of that.
My understanding, they put them on posts.
Yeah.
They put that on posts, but we may, if they didn't put outlets there, we may have to add them, so, that's a good point. And,
I'll look at it too.
yeah. Eric, just on that topic, and since we're on parks, your event was huge this past year, right? And,
Yes.
and we're anticipating huger?
We're anticipating hit the double this year.
Okay.
Yeah, they're looking at.
Parking, so one of the ideas, I talked to Aaron about it, we're going to we'll probably not have any canal boat rides on that day because it just not conducive to people getting in and
But
out.
the thing is,
Well,
would some of the participants go on the boat though, the family members? and
The
they're
family members could, because,
Yeah.
and I would keep
Yeah.
it open, because they're gonna have 24 hours to kill.
Okay.
They're gonna have a lot of time to kill, and you might,
Yeah, fill up
maybe the
boat.
city could
Yeah.
put something, I can put them in the drop bags. When the runners pick up their numbers, they can give, because all the businesses put in coupons and stuff
Yeah.
for the families to wander around and use while their
Uh-huh.
people are running, so I would keep it going, just for the people, and we could spotlight it or something, maybe during the race, because that was one of the cool things that the runners liked to see was the boats going up and down with the horses, and they got to
Okay.
run next to them, they thought that was pretty neat.
Okay.
But as far as parking, I talked to Chief Durkee, and we're gonna actually have fire lanes through the field. Okay, so that the tents are gonna be in a row, and then there's gonna be, I think 10 to 15 foot wide ambulance lanes between, so that if there was any emergencies, emergency vehicles could get through there. Also, I wanted to ask the city permission or whatever to use
That's
the
what I was
school
thinking.
parking
Yeah.
lot, because we've got actual, I think 15 volunteers just for the parking alone this year to make sure it's not a mess like
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, I dropped the ball on that one. I didn't expect it to be that big either.
Well, I didn't bring my gun down with me, so you're all right.
Thank God.
Watch that, Earl. We live in a
fast
different
with it.
world today.
Yeah, really.
Um,
Come here, I have to.
One of the other ideas Aaron and I kicked around is maybe like, we had a shuttle service for the Christmas parade of homes. And the guy that has TM, I think it is, limousine service out there in, by Patriot Auto Sales. He has that limo and maybe, people parked at the high school or something like that and we shuttled them back and forth.
Well, another thing, if you guys wanna look into what it would cost, if it was cost effective, if I paid the city to have a bus driver using one of the school buses or something going back and forth, or.
They're not allowed to do that.
They're not?
Yeah, I found that
So
out
they do
about.
that for other events.
Yeah, yeah, so,
I wish they could, but they can't.
yeah.
But yeah, we could
I
have.
mean, they're gonna be running for 24 hours. If they can't walk 2 blocks, they've got issues.
Yeah, we could even have maybe some signs, temporary signs made up, overflow parking. Down this way, and have another sign here, and go left.
Yeah.
What, it'd be 3 signs maybe?
Yeah.
Temporary
We can
put
put
up.
that in the packet.
Yeah,
the
I'll have
instructions.
all that. It'll
Okay.
be the
And I have seen them ride the boat down there when they had the events
All right.
too by my house.
So we'll change that idea about canceling the boat.
Yeah, I
Super,
think so.
thank you. Anything else, Earl?
That's all I have,
Thank you. Mr. Falmouth, thank you for waiting so patiently to present your
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I have no report, but happy to answer your questions.
You ought to just have a tape recorder that you can just hit the button.
I was gonna say hell no.
Hey, we're doing good. We're doing good. All righty. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. All right, Alyssa, it's all yours.
Third readings, ordinance 319, and ordinance amending ordinance 3717, rates paid for safety forces part-time employees, and repealing any ordinances in conflict therewith.
Motion to approve ordinance 319.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Booker Jr., seconded by Scott Schwab. Any discussion?
I just have a question. All of these salaries that are on this legislation right now is a 5% across the board increase that we approved to do. I forget when it was. Am I correct?
Yes.
One other question I had, has the, section 2, ordinance 2617 created the position of recruitment and retention coordinator? I remember when we had indicated that SAFER grant required that position to be created. Now, that rate of pay is $21.56. Was that?
I think that's reimbursed to us through the grant.
But is the 21.56 something that we set up, or is that something the SAFER, how do we arrive at that number?
We established it.
We established it? Back when
the position was created. That's the language that we did.
And that's
to create the position and establish it.
Is this for the length of the SAFER grant?
Yes.
Which is gonna be, what, 4 or 5 years? Is that the?
I think there's 4 more years.
4 more years?
Yeah.
It was a 5-year grant, so I think.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's paid for through the SAFER grant?
Yes.
And the, okay, I just was not sure about when that appeared. This has been on this legislation for
2 years
for
now.
2 years now,
Yeah.
the exact same thing, right? Okay, that's all I had to ask about that one.
All right.
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Yep.
Is this retroactive?
No.
No?
It's effective today, I guess, once it becomes passed. The challenge we have with retro for the part-time, well, it's not even so much that, is when we go retro, maybe it was 2 years ago, I got into an argument with somebody who quit in February and was no longer here when we passed it in June, but then they threatened to say, well, it was retro back to January, and I was an employee in January, and so therefore I should have been paid for it. And so then I just, as we do part-timers, I just stopped doing retro in that language, because to me, I get it, but you should be an employee here when it's passed to get the raise, is kind of the thing, and I tried to eliminate the gray area.
Well, you could, council wants to make a retro with a clause that you have to be employed today.
Yeah.
Get it. Why not? I think the guys earned it. Just personally, I think they did. We go retro for everybody else. I think.
And I will say, traditionally, we have done that. I understand your issue with it, Bill, but traditionally, when we've had to negotiate these things with the township, sometimes raises were awarded different places, but they were historically made retroactive.
To when?
First of the year.
First of the year. I'll make the motion that we make this legislation retroactive to the first of the year for the employees who are currently employed with the Canal Fulton Fire Department.
Well, hold on. Ms. Bowman,
Is that
give us some
success?
direction. We got a motion and a second on the language. Are we amending that language? Do we have to do anything with this first and second before we start
I
doing
think you
friendly
can amend
amendments?
legislation at any time.
Okay.
I believe,
Yeah, you can go forward and add this, because
Amend
I
it.
think it's basically codifying what Mr. Rouse was suggesting in the first place.
All right, so it'd just be up to Mr. Booker and Mr. Schwab to agree to the friendly amendment to their motion and second.
Fine, I'll make the motion to pass ordinance 319 with the discussed amendment.
Second.
Okay, so we're okay to go on? So that's what we'd be doing, is doing it retroactive till January 1st. All right.
Thank you very much.
For those who
For
are
employees
who
on
are
the roster
currently
today.
employed
Yep.
today to receive that.
Okay.
So that covers him and,
All right. All right, any other discussion? Roll call?
Bonnie Donaldson?
Yes.
Sue Mayberry?
yes.
Eric Whittington?
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.?
Yes.
Danny Loesch?
Yes.
Scott Schwab?
Yes.
Second readings, ordinance 519, an ordinance amending ordinance 4518 and providing for changes to the previously authorized appropriations, $10,300 engineering site plan prep park. Ordinance 619, an ordinance amending ordinance 4518 and providing for changes to previously authorized appropriations, $8,700 to tree planters downtown. First readings, ordinance 719, ordinance amending ordinance 4518 and providing changes to previously authorized appropriations. Resolution 319, a resolution by the council of the city of Penelope, Ohio to enter into an agreement with CTI Engineers Incorporated to provide professional engineering services for the design of an elevated storage tank.
Motion to suspend the rules on resolution 319.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Booker Jr., seconded by Danny Loesch. Any discussion? Roll call?
Scott Schwab?
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson?
Yes.
Danny Loesch?
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.?
Yes.
Eric Whittington?
Yes.
Sue Mayberry?
Yes.
Motion to approve resolution 319 under suspension.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Booker Jr., seconded by Scott Schwab. Any discussion? Roll call?
Scott Schwab?
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson?
Yes.
Danny Loesch?
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.?
Yes.
Eric Whittington?
Yes.
Sue Mayberry?
Yes.
POs?
The first one was tabled. It was, basically, they had money left in their 2018 budget, and they wanted to apply some of it towards the projects that we talked about tonight. So if you could take that off the table now and vote one way or the other at this point, I'd appreciate it. It's purchase order number 11,951 to Core and Main LP in the amount of $6,596.44 for the handheld device and software support for the automated meter reading project.
Move it removed from the table for, vote.
Who was that, Dan?
Yep.
Okay. We have a motion by Danny Loesch, seconded by Dan Booker Jr. Any discussion? Roll call?
Danny Loesch?
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.?
Yes.
Scott Schwab?
Yes.
Sue Mayberry?
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson?
Yes.
Eric Whittington?
Yes.
So we tabled it, we took it off the table, now we need to pass it.
I just, need a motion to approve, so moved.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Danny Loesch, seconded by Bonnie Donaldson. Any discussion?
So will this
No.
come out of the 84,000 then?
Yes, so
So
the
it's
next
part of it.
PO that we do will be like
78 or
79,
whatever.
78, something like that.
Okay. So I guess I have a question, because I thought it was out of,
Passed. It doesn't even have to be passed at this point.
Why is it?
I mean, it doesn't have to be passed at this point.
Yes, last year's money that was
Okay.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
on a purchase order.
And
All
then,
right.
okay.
I guess my question, Bill, is just so I understand it, is, I thought this was money from leftover from last year's budget.
Correct.
It is.
Okay, it is? Okay, so that's what we're passing. But as far as looking at that $225,000 that we had budgeted for this year to do the repairs or the replacement of those water lines, and so I guess it's just a matter of semantics, so.
We need a total of 85
Oh, I got you.
thousand for
Okay.
Core and Main, 6,596 and 44 cents of it is in this purchase order,
Right.
and then the difference will be in a purchase order I bring at the next
I
council
got you.
meeting.
Crazy question, why was this purchase order for only $6,000?
Because it's the software that goes to the handheld meters, and they had a little extra money last year's budget, and they thought, well, that's something they could do now and get at
Oh,
least
okay,
the
okay,
software started and some of the conversion.
Okay, I get it, all right.
And then we
Right.
decided to table it pending
Okay.
this meeting.
All right, thank you. Roll call?
Danny Loesch?
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.?
Yes.
Scott Schwab.
Yes.
Sue Mayberry.
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson.
Yes.
Eric Whittington.
Yes.
Purchase order number 12,035 to Environmental Design Group in the amount of $23,250 to develop the community park master plan.
Motion to approve PO 12035 to Environmental Design Group in the amount of $23,250.
Second.
We have a motion by Dan Booker Jr., second by Scott Schwab. Any discussion? Roll call?
Scott Schwab.
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson.
No.
Danny Loesch.
Yes.
Sue Mayberry.
No.
Dan Booker Jr.
Yes.
Eric Whittington.
Yes.
All right.
Purchase order number 12,045 to B&K Concrete Construction in the amount of $5,400 to complete some stormwater work on Market Street.
Motion to approve PO 12045 to B&K Concrete Construction in the amount of $5,400.
We have a motion by Dan Booker Jr., second by Eric Whittington. Any discussion? Roll call?
Dan Booker Jr.
Yes.
Eric Whittington.
Yes.
Sue Mayberry.
Yes.
Danny Loesch.
Yes.
Scott Schwab.
Yes.
Bonnie Donaldson.
Yes.
Bills?
No bills to report.
We like that. Old, new, other business?
I just want to end something right here. That whole trail of emails that we got, about the incident at the park, the swastikas and the picnic table and all that stuff, and I expected a retraction email.
What's that?
I expected a retraction email from the city manager that listed all 56 people just as an apology, owning what happened and letting it go, and it just never happened, and that was in November. And Jeremy Graber is a citizen of this community. He has a Voice of Canal Fulton page with 10,000 members. Things get heated, there's good, there's heated, there's things that I don't care to read. But as a businessman, and I think I see the email coming. I hope it's the I never saw that. Let me see it. Thank you. Okay, all right. Let me just read this real quick. I'm just saying, I hope I'm wrong. Is this it?
That's it?
I hope I'm wrong. I just discovered that the phrase pool closes a common saying.
Doesn't sound like an apology to me at all.
No, it doesn't, and it takes a lot to sometimes say, I'm sorry and I shouldn't have done something, even though,
Sorry for what?
never mind, Mayor. I mean, never mind, Mr. Cozy, I'm not gonna ask anymore. Topic over.
Okay.
Topic over, Mayor, thank you,
All
go
right.
on.
Two-way street.
Okay,
How about for me?
but see, we're grown-ups, Mr.
For what?
Cozy.
For what? For the nasty little things that you accused us of, Jeremy and me both, and before we were running. We went and talked with the mayor, and he said, well, you know, he's campaigning. And I said, for who? He's not running. So you tell me, why did you say all those things? Why did you print this and send it to everybody in town? Everybody,
I didn't send to everybody in town.
just about.
Basically, all that was there was a video that was posted on the Voice of Canal Fulton insinuating that the YMCA board, Canal Fulton YMCA board, and the city council were corrupt. And I didn't think it was very funny. So,
It was a satire video, is that the one you're talking about?
did you see the video and what they said about us?
Yes, I did.
It's terrible, terrible. Anybody who's involved with the YMCA, and the fact it was pulled off, Jerry pulled it off his webpage very quickly because of the outcry and outrage against it.
Okay.
Okay, and I had an opinion, and I stated that.
But you stated it to everybody, to all the teachers, the school
No, I
board.
didn't, no, I didn't,
Okay,
no,
the
I
school
didn't.
board.
No, I didn't, no, no school, no.
Really?
I guess, I just want to interject here. you know, when you say everybody, if he would have put it on the Voice of Canal Fulton, then that's 10,000 people. But this is obviously not 10,000
No,
people.
all the business owners, all the board. I mean, you know,
It's
it's just.
basically the YMCA board and city administration. I mean, those folks involved with the Y, and the city, that's who got that.
Wow, there's a lot of people there that were on the board then, because I didn't think.
So
all
it's
these
20 people
were.
on the YMCA board.
And how about the rest of them?
So,
I just think things could have been handled a lot differently from our perspective, well, from your perspective, Mr. Cozy, because
it could have been.
seriously, I mean,
But
who
the thing
who hasn't had to bite their tongue in this room here
Exactly,
about
and I have
things
a right
being
to my
said?
opinion.
And,
Exactly.
majority of us have really kept our cool and have not gone that far, but I just thought, I didn't realize this was your retraction, because it just wasn't what I expected, but
It's not a retraction.
I'm not gonna ask for any more, and I'm done with it,
All right,
I'm done.
all right, Mr. Booker?
Real quick, at the last meeting, Christina Futrell came to talk about the Sister Cities committee that we were forming. We're gonna meet again, we're setting up a date right now, but it'll be later on in March. And we are going to try and present to council a proposal for what we're gonna do, but we wanna make sure that council's on board, so we're not just meeting and then for nothing. Is this something, we've had a couple weeks to digest it, that anybody's interested in?
I haven't actually even digested it.
Okay.
I heard it. I have nothing pro or con about it. I guess there's just a lot on the table to even be thinking about of other
Okay,
things.
so what
Not
we'll
that,
do
not
then-
that we shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But do you have anything right now, like, can you give us a snapshot of what you might be looking to do to be supportive of? Where you're gonna go with that?
We've got a couple different ways we're looking at it, and really the first meeting was just kind of a get to know you and kind of an overview. We're gonna start getting into those details at this meeting, so what I was thinking is that we will plan either a work session or economic development committee meeting to go over all of that in April, if everybody is okay with that.
Sure, I have no problem
So-
hearing what you bring. No, I have no problem with that.
So we're looking at, pull up my calendar here. April 16th, if that's okay with everybody, we put a.
Is that the second meeting of the
It's
month?
the second meeting of the month. And I don't care how we do it, I mean, do you think it's better to do it economic development, or just as a council special meetings, or a work session, or?
Is that, gonna be before the council meeting?
Yeah.
Hey, economic development.
Okay.
Sure. And the topic will be Sister City?
Let's give it an hour, just, I don't know if we'll need it, but if we want to amend it after we have our meeting, then we can do that, so. Okay, then I'll make a motion that we hold an Economic Development Committee meeting on Tuesday, April 16th at 6 p.m. to discuss the Sister Cities proposal.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan Booker Jr., second by Sue Mayberry. Any discussion? Roll call?
Bonnie Donaldson?
Yes.
Eric Whittington?
Yes.
Dan Booker Jr.?
Yes.
Scott Schwab?
Yes.
Sue Mayberry?
Yes.
Danny Bush?
Yes.
That's all I have.
All righty. Report of special committees. Citizens' comments for open discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're gonna let Shell go first. Ladies first,
Oh,
Earl.
no.
I'm sorry,
Don't
go
be
ahead.
mad at me.
Get up there. I didn't see your hand go up.
As you may have heard by now, David Hatfield has been diagnosed with brain cancer. And there will be a benefit softball tournament on May 5th. 100% of those proceeds will be going to David and his family. We're looking for business sponsors, for food and drink canteen sponsors, and basket sponsors. There will be a second fundraiser, which will be a night at the races on May 11th. We'll be looking for sponsors for that too, so it's just a heads up. Hopefully I will have flyers by that next council meeting. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me or get a hold of Morgan, who's on the office staff, down at Hatfield. Thank
What
you.
was the second date, Shel?
The second date was night of the race is May 11th. The first one is May, and we hope to have enough teams when they have to go. The baseball tournament may have to be a 2-day event, may have to pay for it something.
This is publicized, people know about this in the community? So, okay, well, they will now that, I mean, is he okay? I mean, is he in treatment right now?
Well, he's on a day-to-day basis. He's doing as best he can, but he's on steroids right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He went through treatment, I guess, last week or the week before.
Is that the third one?
Gave the family the news of what's.
What?
I think we've got to watch, we're in a public meeting, so don't want to get too
Well,
personal.
Morgan gave me
Yep.
permission.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh my,
thank you.
okay.
All right, thanks, Shel.
Mhm.
Earl?
And it's about the water meters. I was curious because of my gas meter, when they replaced the meter, the dials with their send out,
Yeah,
they were only there 15 minutes. All they did was take one head off, put a new one on, the box stayed, that gas box has been there since '52. The guy said it looks like brand new, it's nothing to worry about. My water meters all looks the same way.
uh-huh.
Can't you just replace the dials on that instead of the whole thing?
No, the meters, the whole functioning aspects of the meter itself.
Yeah, they're made out of brass, so they look good on the outside. It's more about what's going on the inside and connected to the meter. Do you have to read your meter every month, Earl?
Yeah, I do.
You-
They turn it in on my paper, send
Yeah.
it in the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so, what we want to be able to do is get to the point where, we get automated and, you don't have to do that anymore
Yeah.
because we'll be able to drive down the street and record it from the truck.
Well, this is what this guy does too on the gas.
Yeah.
But I thought, if the gas did it, why couldn't the water do it? And maybe less than half the price.
Yeah.
I was looking at the price wise for the citizens.
Yeah, that census type meter, in the electric send out part, the radio part that you're talking about, sometimes they're not compatible, so you have to get a new meter to get a new part. And the books that we're gonna do first, most of those are already upgraded newer meters with the radio send out, so all we have to do is stick the box on them, we're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that the unions don't break, cause mine's never been apart. And I
Yeah.
know that's frozen in there.
Yeah,
So they better carry some extra parts with them to cover those unions that break up and maybe
Yeah.
some short pipes too.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Your water meters wear out, because you have water running through them all the time.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Earl. All right, any other comments?
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
How's our Facebook page coming with the city?
I don't know, we keep putting stuff on it.
It's up and
Yeah.
running.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch of likes last week.
Did we?
I didn't even know we had one yet.
It's
Oh,
called City of
yeah.
Canal
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know either, and then I think, was it Ken shared it or something?
Ken did share it, yeah.
Ken shared it and I saw, and so,
Yeah, that's up to you,
Lots of people
Facebook
started
people.
sharing.
Well, I'm not gonna have any help with that.
we talked about you on it nonstop.
They do? Yeah. I love it. All right. Ignorance is bliss. So, all right, no other comments?
Get out of here.
All righty. Motion to adjourn. So moved. Sue Mayberry. Thank you, everybody.